Hey friends, welcome in. My name is Autumn and today I am going to talk about 5 series that I want to finish in 2025. Some of these series I have started, but I have yet to complete. Some of these books I have read the original series. I have not completed any of the spin-off series. That is the goal for 2025, is to pick 5 series that I am in the middle of, that I have been wanting to get back to, and finish them. So the first series I want to talk about is actually a spin-off. I have read the original series, loved the original series, but have not continued within this universe, or shall we say the Grishaverse. These 2 books are Six of Crows as well as Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I do know she has another spin-off series, which is King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, but honestly I am scared to put that series on this list as well, only because these are chunky books. I also have some other chunky books on here. Let's not overwhelm ourselves. I know that the series is much beloved on the booktube community. I also have several people in my personal life who have read this series and have just adored it. It is time for me to get back into this world. These books were on my list for 24 and 24. I did not get a chance to read these books, however, my mother did. This series follows a main character named Kaz, and he is pretty much the ringleader of these ragtag team of people who go on a heist. And of course, a lot of other wild and crazy things happen. I've heard so many good things about this series and I just really need to get back into it. The next series on this list may not come as a surprise. It might. So I started reading the series in 2024. I would like to read the second 2 books in 2025. The series is called The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. I have not read Ruin and I have not read Wrath. I am obsessed with this series. I know there are quite a few booktubers on here that also very much love this series. I cannot wait to get back to it. I always need a break afterwards because I think the first 2 books took me 2 to 3 months for both of them to read. So, you know, that took me half the year to read the first 2 books. So it'll probably take me about 6 months to get through these 2 bad boys. But if you don't know The Faithful and the Fallen, the first book is called Malice. It follows a wide cast of characters, but our main character is a 14-year-old boy named Corbin. We follow Corbin as well as these other point of views through this world called the Banished Lands. It is still healing from this god war that happened thousands of years ago that almost obliterated this entire world. At the end of that god war, it was prophesized that this god war would happen again. And so book 1 follows Corbin and this wide cast of characters and the very beginnings of that god war happening again. It is just wild and crazy, beautifully written, beautifully crafted. So I just cannot wait to get back to this series. So the next series on this list that I would like to finish, I've read book 1, have not read book 2. Thankfully, it's just a duology. Some people might not consider this a series because it's only 2 books, but it's on here. I'm considering it a series. But this book is Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, and the first book is Dance of Thieves. I read this book in 2024. Absolutely loved it. I actually finished this book at the beginning of 2024. So it has been a hot minute since I've read this book, and I've read some other pretty dense books in between, but I really enjoyed Dance of Thieves, and I have a feeling that Vow of Thieves is going to be no different. It is a YA fantasy romance, I believe. This book follows our 2 main characters. It doesn't even say their names on the back. Fuck. If you don't know about this book, it follows our 2 main characters, Cassie and Jace, and it says a formidable outlaw family that claims to be the first among nations, a son destined to lead, thrust suddenly into power, and 3 fierce young women of the Rattan, the Queen's premier guard. A legendary street thief leading a mission determined to prove herself. A dark secret that is the threat to the entire continent, and when outlaw leader meets the reformed thief, a cat and mouse game of false moves ensues, bringing them intimately together in a battle that may cost them their lives and their hearts. I am excited for it. I hope I remember as much as I need to from book 1 to just jump into book 2. The next book on this list, I just finished reading book 1. It's the start of a series, and I absolutely loved this book. I would recommend it to anybody, and I wish more people talked about this series. I think it's a little bit of an older series. Don't quite quote me on that one, but this book is is Beasts of Prey by Anaya Gray. This book follows our two main characters, Kofi and Ekon. Ekon is in training to be part of the Elite Six. Is that what they're called? Sons of the Six. Elite Six. Sons of the Six, which is some type of elite guard that guards and protects this kingdom. And then our other main character, Kofi, is a poor indentured girl who is living with her mother in a zoo. Her life gets turned upside down when she ends up unleashing a power that she didn't know she had within her. And the only way she can save herself and her mother is if she goes into the greater jungle. She has to go in there and find this Shitani, which is a mythical creature, and bring it back for the night zoo in order to save her mother. However, Ekon is also tasked with finding the Shitani, but he has different motives for trying to find this Shitani. They end up having to work together. This is a great book and I cannot wait to finish the series. There are two more books that follow this one.
So I got really excited when I was talking about the series, and I totally forgot to mention the second book and the third book in this series, but the second book is called Beasts of Ruin and book 3 is Beasts of War.
And the last one on this list, which I actually don't own these books and I don't know if I'll ever own these books. I do have the audiobook. It is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. When I first started getting back into writing and getting back into the reading community, this book was the first book I listened on audio and I enjoyed it, but I think I would appreciate it a lot more if I had reread that series now and then continued to read the other two books that are in this series. I have read A Darker Shade of Magic. I will probably have to reread A Darker Shade of Magic or re-listen to A Darker Shade of Magic. I remember the gist of that series, but I do think I might need a bigger refresher if I'm wanting to go into book 2 and book 3 and give that series a fair shot. But book 2 is A Gathering of Shadows and book 3 is A Conjuring of Light. But this series follows our main character, Kel. He's a traveler. In this world, you have 4 different types of Londons. You have gray London, white London, red London, and black London, and he can pretty much hop through all 4 of those different places. It's been a while since I've read this book and that's not a very good synopsis, but then we end up meeting our other main character and her name is Lila, and she pretty much throws Kel into just chaos. I remember loving the dynamic between those two characters. I want to continue with this series. Hopefully I can end up getting to it in 2025. I do have 2 honorable mentions because that's just how I am, but this book is Vengeance of the Pirate Queen by Trisha Levenseller. Trisha Levenseller was one of the first authors I found when I was getting back into reading and really starting to dive deep into fantasy again. I really enjoyed the first 2 books in this series. The first one is The Daughter of the Pirate King. Second book is Daughter of the Siren Queen, and this one follows, I believe it follows not our main character. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it followed a different character in this one. While the first 2 books in this series followed our main character, Eloisa, I think that's how you pronounced her name. Don't quite quote me on that one. This one is going to be following one of her comrades. This says 18-year-old Signorinda is surprised when Eloisa, that's her name, when Eloisa's next task is for her to not kill the next target, but to captain a handpicked crew on a rescue mission. Unfortunately, her sailing master is 20-year-old Kieran. He may be the best helmsman the Pirate Queen has, but Sorinda finds him a real pain in the arse. Sadly, there are a few places on the ship to hide from the attentive man. As the crew of the Vengeance faces dangerous waters and deadly sea creatures, they accidentally awaken the King of the Undersea and being who can control the dead. Their rescue mission quickly turns into a fight to save the world, but first, Rissandra must save herself from becoming an undead queen. I am really excited for this one. Love the first 2 books. This last book can probably be a little controversial if it's going to be like completing a series or continuing with a series or not, because I think it's more of like a spin-off. Well, it might be more of a companion series. Let me know down in the comments below. This one is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. He is the author of The Silent Patient. I am not gonna give the synopsis of this book. 1, because I haven't read it yet, but 2, because I have also heard that it's spoilery if you haven't read this book. But this book follows our main character, Alicia. She killed her husband, and after she killed her husband, she has not spoken a single word. But we have a criminal psychotherapist, Theo Faber, who is completely obsessed with her story, and he has vowed that he is going to get her to talk. This book I have read. I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars, I think. I'm very excited to read The Fury based off of what I know and what I love about this book. So hopefully this can be something that I do end up reading in 2025. So those are all the series I have right now that I would like to finish in 2025. I know this list is probably going to grow and shrink as the days, the weeks, the months, the years go on, but that will conclude this video. Let me know if there's anything on this list that you like, that you've read, that you have on your radar as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here and you don't know what else to say, leave me the little thumbs up emoji down below in the comments, because we are gonna have a good 2025 year. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Autumn, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.